The record should reflect that the jury's asked before anything record statement.
Nothing on behalf of the state, Your Honor.
You made record of it.
Yes.
Ms. Martin, can you just take a stand, please, ma'am? Mr. Chair, you may invite the jury. Barnes remains bound by oath to tell the truth that she took before lunch and is guilty of felony.
Good afternoon, Ms. Barnes.
Hi.
Now, at some point in 2014, did you learn that your brother was in jail?
Yes, I did.
And how did you learn about this?
My nephew told me. Eric told me.
I'm sorry, it's really hard to hear you.
I'm sorry, my nephew told me.
Which nephew?
Eric.
And did you have any conversations with your brother while he was in jail?
I had multiple conversations with my brother while he was in jail.
And, how did that work? Did you call him? Did you go see him?
It was him calling me.
And did you have conversations with Eric and Nick and Ed about bonding him out?
Yes, I did.
And as far as those conversations you had with Eric, what kind of conversations did you have?
I told him that we needed to bond my brother out because from some of the conversations they had had, he had made some reference to suicide, and in calls to me he was very distraught and saying that he couldn't take it in there. And I told Eric said he didn't want to bond him out. He said, couldn't we just leave him in there? And I said, no, we can't. I gave him, I'm sorry. I told him that that was his father and that he was maybe at the bottom of the barrel right now, that we needed to do everything we could to try and help him, and that he wasn't going to get that help inside of jail. And Eric apologized and said, "You're right, Aunt Sherri."
Obviously, this is very emotional for you. Why do you feel so much emotion?
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I didn't know that my brother was going to kill anybody. I didn't know that he was going to do what he did. I wanted to help him. I wanted to help him.
Now, did you also have conversations with your brother about raising money and helping him out?
We had multiple conversations about raising money.
If I can approach with what's been marked as Offense Exhibit 56 and Offense Exhibit 57.
Your Honor, I need to be heard outside the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen, I excuse you to the jury for just a few moments while you're there. Don't discuss this case among yourselves. Neither should you form or express any opinion about this case during this time. That's your excuse. Yes, sir. You know, see,
Thanks.
what these are.
Ms. Barnes, did you go to my office and hear the actual recordings of the jail calls you had with your brother?
Yes, I did.
And Sentence Exhibit 56 and 57 are jail calls from November 11th and November 15th. Are those calls you listened to?
Yes, they are.
And are they accurate recordings of the conversations you have with your brother?
Yes, they are.
No, I would move to admit those. I can play them for the court.
You have one on.
They're about 15 minutes each.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I can go ahead and ask a couple questions and get right into
Yes.
it. Ms. Barnes, you actually spoke with your brother several times on the telephone, didn't you?
I did. I would say probably 10 to 15 times.
And each one of those phone calls was recorded.
I would assume so, yes.
My objection is this, is that those calls were provided by the state of North Carolina when Assistant Special Agent Lynn Gay went to Texas, obtained them from the Missouri County Detention Facility. And what they've done is they've ripped a couple of phone calls off of the CD that they were given, and they're attempting to put those into evidence, Your Honor, which then would limit my ability to cross-examine Ms. Barnes with respect to the other phone calls, the other 8 that are actually relevant in this case, and I believe should be subject to cross-examination. So I think that if they're going to admit that evidence in, they need to admit the entire CD with all the data contained therein, so that I can cross-examine Ms. Barnes with respect to those other phone calls.
Well, Your Honor, one, the state has ample opportunity to admit evidence at any point in time. I mean, if they want to make me play 3 hours of phone calls in front of this jury, I mean, I don't have a problem with them making that objection at that time in front of the jury, as long as the jury knows it's not me that's making them sit through 3 hours of these calls. Our positions in these calls are substantially similar. This is a representation of them. Obviously, I've chosen to, and the state may want others for them to hear. I mean, I will certainly follow whatever instruction the court has if you want me to put in all of them and play them all for this jury, if that's the state's request. I mean, I'll make that decision in front of the jury, but I don't think that I'm required to play every one of them. Each call is on a different day. It's a contained call, and I think I have the right to offer in those pieces. I mean, the state can do that as well. They can offer one of Mr. Campbell's interviews, even though there were multiple interviews, and they're discrete events. I just don't think that's a problem. I mean, I was provided discovery in the state of this that had huge amounts of data on it. I don't think that it's a problem. She's identified this call. She recognizes it. She heard it. She knows it's the call.
Thank you.
Nothing further.
No, here.
Hello, please hold while we attempt to connect your call. We are attempting to receive acceptance information from your call partner. This may take up to 2 minutes. Please continue to hold.
If the court doesn't object, I'm going to move it about 2 minutes forward to the next call.
To receive acceptance information from your attempting to receive acceptance information on products and services. Made calls are subject to recording and may be monitored. You may start your conversation now.
Hello. Hey, I apologize for calling on your phone again. I've asked the boys multiple times to get the phone card. I would already be out of here if I had a phone card because you're about the only person I can get through to. And a phone card only costs, like for $50, you don't have to pay the $9 service charge to get the card. So if you spend like $50 on a card, each call only costs $3.50 and get 15 minutes versus $15 for 10 minutes. And plus, I don't have to ask people to accept the call. I can dial direct from the jailhouse phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so why are they not setting that up?
Because they want to drive me crazy. I don't know, Sherri. I know, I'm being facetious. I'm trying to make a joke. Something that's really not funny. Because I would have already been out of here about 3 weeks ago And that's what kind of makes me frustrated with them a little bit, is they're not following my directions. We only need one boss, and I need to be the boss. People need to talk to me about, if they have an idea, great, I want to hear all ideas. But we can't have more than one boss in this because it's not working. Because if I've already given them, these things that, there's certain deadlines I have where if they're not met, it keeps costing me more and more money. It's like the house. I can't sell the house now because they weren't following my instructions. Like I write a letter and do number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Do these in this order, and things will work. And they're not doing that. I don't know the reason. Either they're scatterbrained or they're too hoochie coochie or
No, I don't think that's it.
It doesn't have the reason why they're not doing it, does it? No.
Okay, but listen, Eric is going to
Please don't defend them. Just listen to me, please, if you're doing the same thing. Please. Okay, I'm sorry to get upset. It's just, I need to be out of here today. Otherwise, it's going to cost me more money on Thursday. I need a day to prepare.
They don't have the money, Ed.
They don't know how to work it with the money they have. There is enough money to get me out. They just don't know how to fucking work it.
Well, they're
not salesmen.
He's called.
Okay, please don't defend them. All I need is a card so I can call, okay? I just need a card. Please give me a card so I can call.
I will get a hold of Eric.
Listen to me. I'm giving you the information now. Do you have a pen, please? Do you have a pen, please? Sherri?
Okay, Ed, you're really.
I am threatening because they're not doing what I asked. Okay? It's killing me in here. Please take the pen.
Yeah, give me the information.
Please, 1-800-844-6591. It's all self-explanatory. It's easy. And I'm going to have to call you back later to get the information from the card.
Okay, but Ed, I may not be able to set it up. The $15 that I just put on my credit card again to take this call from you,
I know.
put me at my card limit.
Okay, so I can't call you again.
So
Is that what you're saying? Okay,
please
listen. Then have it set up with Nicholas. If you can't do it, somebody needs to send my call. I need to get this information, but I can get my fucking self out of here. But I can't call anybody from here. I called Dale Bond. Nobody accepts calls. But you see, if I can call directly, I can get myself out of here.
All right, Ed, I will talk to Eric. I will get it taken
Yeah,
care of.
and I
Just
told
so you know,
Yeah.
I sent a letter today.
Thank
to
you.
the judge.
Uh-huh.
I sent a copy to Eric to take with him to give to the judge on court day in case it doesn't get to him in time.
I'm sorry I got upset, but I told if I'm not out Monday, I have to have this phone card, and I keep on telling them. I told them this for weeks, and I don't know what the block is, but I do have some resources in here, and I have people with experience, and I made friends in here. Huh? You're very echoed. Can you hear me? Are you on speakerphone right now? Are you on speakerphone?
No, I had to put the phone down because the phone is really hot and it's giving me a headache.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm calmed down now.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so anyway, I sent the letter to Eric and email so he can print it out and take it to the judge on court day.
Regarding
So
what?
I'm hoping at least, huh?
Regarding what?
It's just a letter giving the judge, kind of another.
What you want me to do? Like I say, I need to be in charge. If something is given or contacted with anybody, I need to know what's on it, okay?
Okay, so you want to take the time to read it to you now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go fast. My name is Sherri Barnes, and I'm the sister of Edward Campbell. My brother is currently in jail where he's been for over a month on alleged aggravated assault charges relative to Black Hollow Campbell. I understand the hearing has been scheduled in your court for November 13th, blah, 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 to address Holly's recent divorce filing. I live in an understating his plan to be there in order to provide support to my brother. However, he has asked me to put that money towards his bail instead. He's trying very hard to raise the funds necessary to post bail in order to be present for the hearing. Holly is the primary breadwinner for the family, and my brother has been the at-home caregiver for the children for several years, so he does not have access to any of their financial accounts. which has prevented him from being able to post a very high bail amount. Holly purposely did not inform us that my brother was in jail, so I have only recently become involved in trying to help my nephews raise funds for my brother's bail. Yeah. Okay, the only way we found out about my brother being incarcerated was through my nephew's efforts. He called hospitals, police stations, etc., until he discovered where my brother was. Then it was another 2 weeks before they contacted me. No thanks to Holly. Based on the speed and thoroughness of Holly's actions since having my brother arrested, I can only believe that this was all planned out in advance. My brother confided in me that Holly had been cheating on him and that he was taking antidepressants to help him cope with the depression. I do not know how long this has been going on. I did not feel it was the right time to discuss it with him, and he has more important things to focus on right now.
Okay.
The biggest concern at the moment is that my brother may not be able to make bail by the hearing date, or if he does make bail, it will leave him without the necessary funds to hire legal representation. Family members have given some money, and my brother's 2 older sons are selling off whatever items Holly has not taken out of the house. Hopefully my brother will make it to court, and he deserves to have his side of the story represented. Is there any way the court date can be postponed to ensure the brother's ability to fairly represent him?
Or again, good thing to add.
Let me finish it, because we're going to run out of time.
Okay.
I cannot speak for what did or did not happen leading up to my brother.
I burned it up. That's fine. I can script the letter. Another good thing to add is I need immediate access to my debit, to my financial account, which I wrote the boys a letter also to give the judge. And I just want to make sure everything's copacetic, especially if I'm trying to do everything without being there, But anyway, I appreciate you, Sherri. And I'm sorry I got upset about the phone, but it's just something that I really need it. And the boys are preoccupied with other things and have not been able to do.
Well, no, Eric.
I said efforts are fine, but I'm going to call Nick later with to get the phone information. If they are not getting me out tonight, I have to have phone access. I mean, it's I had to have it Monday, and I would be out now. And also have Nicholas make a green dot for me, put all the money on green dot, so I can access all the funds. As much funds as they have right now, put it on green dot, and I'll call Nick later, and I'll get the phone information and the green dot information, okay?
All right, so I'll try to get in touch with Eric. I don't have Nick's contact.
Okay, I got Nick's phone number right here. Nick is the one that has the money in his account, okay, for me. Nick is 281-508-2171.
217.
And he needs
So
to
I
get...
need to tell you something. I need to tell you something else also,
Sure.
just so you know. I hired the attorney in South Carolina to do the
You hired one?
documents for the property. This attorney is only $336 instead of the $750.
Right, excellent.
They're preparing the document now. They're going to try and get it overnighted out to Eric today. But if it doesn't go out today, it'll go out tomorrow. As soon as Eric gets it, he's going to come to the jail.
Okay.
He will sign it.
But you see, I can't wait for that. I need those funds from that property being sold for an attorney to hire. Yeah, it needs to be rushed still, because I still have another...
It's being rushed. It's being rushed as much as it can.
Okay,
I had to beg and plead with her.
Thank you very much.
I had to plead with her because she told me it'll take about a week, and I said I don't have a week.
Sherri, I appreciate you very much. Thank you very much. And that's how I expect the boys to roll. And like I said, I've been here another month. And that's why I'm a little irritated with them, because they haven't been rocking and rolling. And please don't try to defend there. I know they're rushing now, but they weren't rushing before. That's the problem. Okay. You know what I mean?
In all fairness, I don't think Eric was looking to Nick to give him guidance, and
Okay.
Nick wasn't giving any guidance.
I am the leader.
Yeah.
I'm the leader.
So
I'm the boss. And I gave him, actually, let's not go there.
anyway, let's not discuss that. So
Right. That's
those are
irrelevant.
two things that I've done. I've sent an email to Eric, get to the judge on court days. I'm dealing with the attorney in South Carolina to try and push this property.
Good. If they can get me out today, or in the early morning, like not sleeping at all fucking day like they do a lot of times. Believe me, I know their habits. I don't need the phone card. But if I'm in here and they don't think they can get me out today or tomorrow morning, not tomorrow evening, I need a phone card now. Because
I don't know. Here's what, when you given your latest information, this is what I knew as of last night in my last call.
Let me hear. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Nick had told Eric there was a bail bondsman who would accept $37.50
Right.
to bail you out. Then when Eric called that bail bondsman because when they were hopeful yesterday they were going to have the money, that bail bondsman said yes, $37.50, but you also have to sign a contract and to have a job that certifies that you.
I know that. I already told them this a fucking month ago that they're supposed to get proper paperwork. Did you want to how frustrated? Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, listen to me. They would not accept either one. They would not accept either one of their jobs as insurable.
They would accept my job though.
No, they wouldn't.
Okay, then they need to go to another bail bondsman. There are hundreds of them around here. If they go and gave instructions, if they go in to a bail bondsman with $2,500 in their hand, flash it, and we say, here's my dad's pay stub. He can work. He make a payment plan. It works. Believe me, I have a lot of resources.
What pay stubs do you have?
Huh? They're supposed to take care of that. They know what to do. I've already told them. The pay stubs I keep for selling my wares on eBay and through hobby shops and shit. Okay?
Okay, so that's what Nick told me that.
Yeah, because it's a separate thing. I'm not a house dad with bail bondsmen, okay? With bail bondsmen, we need to show them my income. You know what I mean? My tax records are all negative because I don't pay taxes, okay?
Okay, well anyway, I can't help you with that part of it.
The boys need to do, they know what to do. They know what to do.
So, I have to be honest with you, I think most of this has been dumped onto Eric. And
this is working right now. Working, where's Ida? I know what they're both doing. You see, that's why we don't need only one commander, because there's too many people trying to be commanders. That's why I'm not out of here. That's what's been happening.
Well, I don't think either one of them are trying to be a commander. I think it's the problem.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. What I'm saying, but I don't want to say Nick's not good.
You
Nick's
have
working.
1 minute remaining.
I have 1 minute. I have 1 minute. I have 1 minute. Sherri, I appreciate you for coming today. I'm sorry this has been a running call, but you have the phone number? I
Yeah, I
should be
got
able
this number, and I'm going to call them. I'm going to call them both.
Right.
So.
Maybe because please, it's so important that I have access, because I have important information that comes up. Because I get all the legal documents delivered to me. They don't get any legal documents, okay? I'm the one that has a pile of legal documents. All right? I love you. So I will call Nicholas in like 2 hours to get that phone information if they are not going to bail me out tonight or tomorrow morning. But like I say, they are not walking around to different bail bondsmen and seeing and saying it's flashing cash and stuff. That's what will work here. And they need to do it in Angleton. I love you, but I'm listening.
All right. So anyway, I'm going to tell them what you said. According to Nick, he has gone around and talked to all these bail bondsmen.
Your Honor, quick information on outplay, November 15th.
Your Honor, I've heard them all. I don't have a question as to they or the actual recordings. My objection is that if those two come in, the rest of them should come in as well. That's it. I don't. I don't necessarily need to complain. I just want to be able to cross-examine our relative to those others.
Well, as I said before, to Your Honor, I think that they're separate calls. The state has this. I got this information from the state. The state provides me, 1,000 pages of discovery, and you pull out the relevant parts and use them in court. They provided me this with, I think, probably 80 phone calls, some to Miss Barnes, some to my client, some to Nicholas Campbell, some to bail bondsmen, some to other people. And I don't think they're all a part of our case. I'm not sure I'd object if the state offered them. But, you know, we have 2 calls here that we want to play the jury. We think that's a reasonable narrowing of this information. But if the court wants me to play them all, I will.
I don't care what you do. It's your case. And I just rule on these things whether they're relevant or not.
Yes.
If y'all can have an agreement with each other about what you want to do, that's fine.
Well,
I'm not in the middle of that.
yes, I don't think the state's argument is not relevant, so I would ask to do it.
I'm not in the middle of this.
Well, I don't believe they're relevant, but nonetheless, I'm just saying that if those 2 come in, then I think the others come in for the purposes of never being cross-examined about. I didn't think they were relevant, thus I didn't intend to offer them into evidence during Tina's testimony.
Talk to Mr. Berman.
I don't understand you. I apologize.
You want to, which one do you want us to play?
I just play the 2 you're going to play, but when I ask her questions about it, and then she gets up there and she starts saying, "Oh, well, I don't remember," and that kind of thing, and then I come back, that's what.
Do you want to play them and cross?
I don't need to play them cross.
Who wants to be able to use the material that's in there to cross-examine this witness, and which might require him to introduce them into evidence, to not play them?
I certainly don't. I don't see how he would be restricted from crossing examining on those other items.
Then my basis that it just comes down to relevance.
Well, I mean, one thing you could do, Your Honor, is you could do like the state did, and introduce all of them and play 2, and then if the state wants to play some more, they can do that.
I think he has an objection to that.
It does not.
I don't think he does.
No.
Well, I'm not prepared to offer more. I'm going to have these 2 this. I don't have this all over one.
But we can take care of that. We'll get a break or something. I mean, we can.
And that will be fine.
I mean, we could do that, and we have another paper floppy or something.
If someone can give me a
We get like this and put all of them on there.
I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm going to bring the jury in. Give it 15 minutes. Y'all get that prepared, and we'll come back and we'll go. We'll have another break. We'll bring the jury in. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do in order to speed things up and keep you from having to be back there for so long, wondering what the heck we're doing, we're going to have an early afternoon recess. We're going to have another one during the time that you're not. Mrs. Barnes remained found by oath to tell the truth with the testimony.
You know, if I meant personally.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes, I'm approaching you with what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 56 and 57, a call from the Brazoria County Jail to you on November 11th and November 15th. Do you remember listening to those?
Yes, I do.
And are those the 2 calls that you have with your brother?
Yes, they are.
No, this time I moved to admit Defense Exhibit 56 and 57.
Any objection?
No objection.
Nathan Lapp.
You know, this time I asked to publish Defense Exhibit 56, which is the November 11th, 2014 jail call to the jury by claim through the telephone.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, if you cannot hear, let us know.
It begins as about a 2-minute beginning that is a recording. But
I'll stipulate that the first 2 minutes is not relevant.
Hello, please hold while we attempt to connect to uw.securestext.net. Calls are subject to recording and may be monitored. You may start your conversation now.
Hello. Hey, I apologize for calling on your phone again. I've asked the boys multiple times to get you a phone card. I I would already be out of here if I had a phone card, because you're about the only person I can get through to. And a phone card only costs, like for $50, you're going to have to pay the $9 service charge to get the card. So if you spend like $50 on a card, each call only costs $3.50. And you get 15 minutes versus $15 for 10 minutes. And plus, I don't have to ask people to accept the call. I can dial direct from the jailhouse phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so why are they not setting that up?
Because they want to drive me crazy. I don't know, Sherri. I know, I'm being facetious. I'm trying to make a joke out of something that's really not funny. But I would have already been out of here about 3 weeks ago had they, and that's what kind of makes me frustrated with them a little bit, is they're not following my directions. We only need one boss, and I need to be the boss. People need to talk to me about, if they have ideas, great, I want to hear all ideas. But we can't have more than one boss in this because it's not working. Because I've already given them, these things that, there's certain deadlines I have where if they're not met, it keeps costing me more and more money. It's like the house. I can't sell the house now because they weren't following my instructions. Like I write them letters and do number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Do these in this order and things will work. And they're not doing that. I don't know the reason. Either they're scatterbrained or they're too hoochie-coochie or
I don't think that's what it is.
It doesn't matter the reason why they're not doing it. Does it? No.
Okay, but listen. Eric is going to
please don't defend them. Just listen to me, please, if you're doing the same thing. Please. Okay, I'm sorry to get upset. It's just, I need to be out of here today. Otherwise, it's going to cost me more money on Thursday. I need a day to prepare.
They don't have the money, Ed.
They don't know how to work it with the money they have. There is enough money to get me out. They just don't know how to fucking work it.
Well, they're
not salesmen.
He's asked him to do. He's called.
Okay, Sherri, please don't defend them. All I need is a card so I can call, okay? I just need a card. Please give me a card so I can call.
I will get a hold of Eric.
Listen to me. I'm giving you the information now. Do you have a pen, please? Can you have a pen, please? Sherri?
Okay, Ed, you're really...
I am threatening because you're not doing what I asked. Okay? It's killing me in here. Please take me a pen.
Yeah, give me the information.
Please, 1-800-844-6591. It's all self-explanatory. It's easy. And I'm going to call you back later to get the information for the card.
Okay, I may not be able to set it up. The $15 that I just put on my credit card again to take this call from me,
I know.
put me at my card limit.
Okay, so I can't call you again. Is that what you're saying? Okay, well, have it set. Okay, please listen. Then have it set up with Nicholas. If you can't do it, somebody needs to set my call. I need to get this information because I can get my fucking self out of here. But I can't call anybody from here. I called bail bonds. Nobody accepts calls. But you see, if I can call directly, I can get myself out of here.
All right, and I will talk to Eric. I will get it taken care of.
And
just so you know,
yeah.
I sent a letter today. I sent a letter today to the judge. I sent a copy to Eric to take with him to give to the judge on court day in case it doesn't get to him in time.
You see, I'm sorry I got upset, but I told him if I'm not out Monday, I have to have this phone card. And I keep on telling them. I've told them this for weeks. And I don't know what the block is, but I do have some resources in here, and I have people with experience, and I made friends in here. Huh? You're very echoed. Can you hear me? Are you on speakerphone right now? Are you on speakerphone?
No, I had to put the phone down because the phone is really hot and it's giving me headache.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm
down
now.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so anyway, I sent the letter to Eric an email so he can print it out to take it to the judge on court day.
Regarding
So
what?
I'm hoping at least,
Regarding what?
It's just a letter giving the judge, kind of another
What you want me to do? Like I say, I need to be in charge. If something is given or contacted with anybody, I need to know what's on it, okay?
Okay, so you want me to take the time to read it to you now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go fast. My name is Sherri Barnes, and I'm the sister of Edward Campbell. My brother is currently in jail where he's been for over a month on alleged aggravated assault charges relative to Black Holly Campbell. I understand the hearing has been scheduled in your court for November 13th, blah, 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 to address the Holly's recent divorce filing. I live in another state and they plan to be there in order to provide support to my brother. However, he has asked me to put that money towards his bail instead. He's trying very hard to raise the funds necessary to post bail in order to be present for the hearing. Holly is the primary breadwinner for the family, and my brother has been the at-home caregiver for the children for several years, so he does not have access to any of their financial accounts, which has prevented him from being able to post the very high bail amount. Holly purposely did not inform us that my brother was in jail, so I have only recently become involved in trying to help my nephews raise funds for my brother's bail. Yeah. Okay, the only way we found out about my brother being incarcerated was through my nephew's efforts. He called hospitals, police stations, etc., until he discovered where my brother was. Then it was another few weeks before they contacted me. No thanks to Holly. Based on the speed and thoroughness of Holly's actions since having my brother arrested, I can only believe that this was all planned out in advance. My brother confided in me that Holly had been cheating on him and that he was taking antidepressants to help him cope with the depression. I do not know how long this has been going on. I did not feel it was the right time to discuss it with him, as he has more important things to focus on right now.
Okay.
The biggest concern at the moment is that my brother may not be able to make bail by the hearing date, or if he does make bail, it will leave him without the necessary funds to hire legal representation. Family members have given some money, and my brother's two older sons are selling off whatever items Holly has not taken out of the house. Hopefully my brother will make it to court, as he deserves to have his side of the story represented. Is there any way the court date can be postponed to ensure the brother's ability to fairly represent him?
Or another again, good thing to add.
Let me finish it, because we're going to run out of time.
Okay.
I cannot speak for what did or did not happen leading up to my brother.
Actually, I've heard enough. That's fine. I get the grip of the letter. Another good thing to add is I need immediate access to my debit, to my financial account, which I wrote the boys a letter also to give the judge. And I just want to make sure everything's copacetic, especially if I'm trying to do everything without being there, But anyway, I appreciate you, Sherri. And I'm sorry I got upset about the phone, but it's just something that I really need it. And the boys are preoccupied with other things and have not been able to do.
Well, no, Eric.
I said efforts are fine, but I'm going to call Nick later with to get the phone information. If they are not getting me out tonight, I have to have phone access. I mean, it's I had to have it Monday, and I would be out now. And also have Nicholas make a green dot for me, put all the money on green dot, so I can access all the funds. As much funds as they have right now, put it on green dot, and I'll call Nick later, and I'll get the phone information and the green dot information, okay?
All right, so I'll try to get in touch with Eric. I don't have Nick's information contact.
Okay, I got Nick's phone number right here. Nick is the one that has the money in his account, okay, for him. Nick is 281-508-2171.
2171.
And he needs to
I need
get...
to tell you something. I need to tell you something else also,
Sure.
just so you know. I hired the attorney in South Carolina to do the
You hired one
documents
next
for the proper. This attorney is only $336
Nice,
instead of the $750.
Right, excellent.
They're preparing the document now. They were going to try and get it overnighted out to Eric today. But if it doesn't go out today, it'll go out tomorrow. As soon as Eric gets it, he's going to come to the jail.
Okay.
And sign it.
But you see, I can't wait for that. Well, actually, no, I need those funds from the property being sold for an attorney to hire. But yeah, it needs to be rushed still. Because I still have another...
It's being rushed as much as it can.
Okay,
I had to beg and plead with her.
Thank you very much.
I had to beg and plead with her because she told me it'll take about a week, and I said I don't have a week.
Sherri, I appreciate you very much. Thank you very much. And that's how I expect the boys to role, and like I say, I've been here another month, and that's why I'm a little irritated with it, because they haven't been rocking and rolling. And please don't try to defend Eric. I know they're rushing now, but they weren't rushing before. That's the problem. Okay. You know what I mean?
In all fairness, I don't think Eric was looking to Nick to give him guidance, and
Okay.
Nick wasn't giving any guidance.
I am the leader.
Yeah.
I'm the leader.
So-
I'm the boss. And I gave him, actually, but let's not go there.
Anyway, let's not discuss that. So
Right. That's
those are
irrelevant.
two things that I've done. I've sent an email to Eric, to the judge on court days. I'm dealing with the attorney in South
Okay.
Carolina
Okay,
to try and push this property.
Good. If they can get me out today, or in the early morning, not sleeping it off fucking day like they do a lot of times. Believe me, I know their habits. I don't need the phone card. But if I'm in here, and they don't think they can get me out today or tomorrow morning,
Okay, so-
not tomorrow evening, I need a phone card now. Because
Yeah, so I don't know, here's what, when you're given the latest information, this is what I knew as of last night, in my last
Okay,
call.
let me hear. I'm ready, I'm listening.
All right. Nick had told Eric there was a bail bondman who would accept $37.50
Right.
to bail you out. Then when Eric called that bail bondman, because when they were hopeful yesterday they were going to have the money, that bail bondman said, yes, $37.50, but you also have to sign a contract and be to have a job that certifies that you.
I know that. I already told them this a fucking month ago, that they're supposed to
Yeah,
get
so-
proper paperwork. You see what how
No,
I'm
no, so
frustrated?
they
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
would not
listening.
accept either, okay, listen to me, they would
I'm
not
listening.
accept either one, they would not accept either one of their jobs as securable.
They would accept my job though.
No, they wouldn't. This
Okay,
is what-
then they need to go to another bail bondsman. There are hundreds of them around here. And if they go, and I gave instructions, if they go in to a bail bondsman with $2,500 in their hand, flash it, and we say, this is this, here's my dad's pay stub, he can work, make a payment plan, it works. Believe me, I have a lot of
Yeah,
resources.
what pay stubs do you have?
Huh? They're supposed to take care of that. They know what to do. I've already told them. The pay stubs I use for selling my wares on eBay and through hobby shops and shit. Okay?
Okay, so that's
So-
what Nick
so-
told me that.
Yes, yes, because it is a separate thing. I'm not a house dad with bail bondsmen, okay? With bail bondsmen, we have to need to show them my income. You know what I mean? My tax records are all negative because I don't pay taxes, okay?
Okay, well, anyway, I can't help you with that part of it.
The boys need to do, they know what
I
to
will
do.
tell them.
They know what to do.
So, I have to be honest with you, I think
What?
most of this has been dumped onto Eric. And
This is working right now. Working, first item, I know what they're both doing. You see, that's why we need only one commander, because there's too many people trying to be commanders. That's why I'm not out of here. That's what's been happening.
well, I don't think either one of them are trying to be a commander. I think it's the problem.
Okay, but I don't want to talk about that. What I'm saying, but I don't want you to say Nick's not doing
You
things.
have 1 minute remaining.
Okay, I have 1 minute. I have 1 minute. I have 1 minute. Sherri, I appreciate you for coming today. I'm sorry this has been a running call, but you got the phone number? I
Yeah, I
need to
got
be able
this number, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
call them, I'm gonna call them both.
Right.
So,
Maybe because please, it's so important that I have access, because I have important information that comes up. Because I get all the legal documents delivered to me. They don't get any legal documents, okay? I'm the one that has a pile of legal documents. All right? I love you. So I will call Nicholas in like 2 hours to get that phone information if they are not going to bail me out tonight or tomorrow morning. But like I say, they are not walking around to different bail sponsors and seeing and flashing the cash and stuff. That's what will work here. And they need to do it in Angleton. I love, but I'm listening.
all right, so anyway, I'm gonna tell them what you said.
Thank you.
According to Nick, he has gone around and talked to all these bail sponsors.
This
Now, Ms. Barnes, in that call, your brother talks a lot about a phone call. Did you ever get him a phone call?
I didn't. I didn't get him a phone card, but I did do something with my credit card that allowed him to call, I believe.
Also in that call, there was mention about that you'd gone to a lawyer. It was $336 instead of $750 or something like that. What was that? What was that about?
My brother and I were given a piece of property that was originally my grandfather's some time ago, and it was in both of our names. And I was trying to see, I had tried to get a loan on the property to try and help with, get attorneys and stuff for him. But because it was in both of our names, I couldn't get a loan on it. So I was trying to, he was going to sign his half of the property over, and it's not a lot of property, it's just a couple of acres, but it would have been a few $1,000s. And so that was what that was about, was the attorney in South Carolina. It's the properties in South Carolina.
You were trying to use that property to raise money for his bond.
Correct.
At this time, I would ask to publish Defendants 57, the call from November 15th, 2014.
Yes.
Hello, please hold. We are attempting to receive acceptance information from your called party. This may take up to 2.securistech.6.
Hi, I can barely hear you.
Yeah, I'm a bit sick and I don't have much of a voice.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear. I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah, it's going around now because we're starting to get the cooler weather at night, so.
Oh, are you really? Okay. I hear you. I hear you. Hey,
I just want to tell you, I chatted, I texted with Nick and spoke with Eric today. I think Eric's coming to see you, if he didn't already.
I don't have an armband right now. You won't be able to see me till Monday, probably. But, what happened in court?
So he told me that court was just for Holly's restraining order.
I understand that, and I have 20 days from the 31st to respond to the divorce procedures. Otherwise, they're going to rule against me, or they can rule against me.
Yeah. So anyway, here's what the boys.
Okay.
Here's what they told me today.
Great.
So they only do bail reduction hearings on Thursdays.
Right.
So they're going to have Sharp do the bail reduction hearing for you.
Good.
And I told them they need to go and pay him on Monday because he's going to need time to prepare for
Then you
that.
didn't already pay him?
No, because they've been checking other attorneys.
Oh.
So anyway, Nick
Okay, I'm listening.
has
I'm
an
listening.
attorney. Nick has an attorney that he used. I think the guy's name is Adams or something.
Yes, but he is my court-appointed attorney. Please have them
Right,
pay
so-
an attorney. Please have them pay an attorney. There's Mahoney. I
Okay,
gave you a
so-
phone number yesterday, okay?
Ed.
Yes.
Yesterday when he gave me the phone number, it was the end of the day, and the guy didn't answer his phone.
Okay, that's fine.
It's
But,
Friday, and it's
okay,
late.
but
So I won't be able to talk to him until Monday. I left a message. He has
all right,
to call
thank
me
you very
back.
much.
So,
Yeah. And also, use Mahoney, Stephen Van Howard. Okay, give him the name drop, Stephen Van Howard, okay?
I'm sorry.
And I'll get a discount, all right?
Stephen what?
Van Howard.
Van
Yeah.
Howard.
Yeah, and to see if he can do, some attorneys can bail you out if they have a contract with the county, others cannot. Okay? Others are still going to have to use a bail bondsman. Sharp has the ability that he has a contract with the county and he can actually sign you out. You under his name. He doesn't even need money. Like if he knew me or somebody could just sign and I'd be out like in 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, but,
I can tell you he's not that kind of guy.
Yeah, I know that. He wants to be paid. That's what the 2000 is for. The 1500 is to get
Anyway,
no
the
reduction.
boys I asked them to please let me know which one of them is going on Monday.
Okay, please make
To
sure
give money
that
to
the
the attorney
attorney,
and to confirm that to me.
please make sure the attorney can the attorney has the ability, some attorneys have the ability to bail you out, others do not. And make sure that that's part of the agreement that that's going to happen. Because if we go back to the bail bondsman, they still need someone to sign that has a job. Does that make sense?
Right. Okay, I got
Okay,
it.
good.
Got it.
Thank you.
Let's not
That's
do
all
that.
I need to make sure of.
So, I'm gonna call the Monahan guy or whatever on Monday morning, first thing, find out what his rates are, find out if he has the ability to sign for bailout or not.
Thank you. Perfect.
And then if not, and I'm gonna drop Stephen Van Houwer's name. And then if he doesn't have the ability, then I'm gonna call the boys, I already told them,
Okay.
don't give Sharp any money on Monday until I call you, because I gotta call this other attorney.
Yes, but please have to do it Monday morning. Please have to do it Monday morning.
Yes.
If
Listen, I can't control what these kids do, okay?
I know, and that's what's driving me crazy, Sherry. Like, if I had a fucking goddamn phone, I would already have had this shit done.
So here's the other thing I have to tell you is that my boss will not give me the days off to go to Texas.
Okay, that's fine. Please
Because
get a phone card so I can call somebody regularly without everybody avoiding my calls.
Ed, I don't avoid your calls, so don't.
I know you haven't. I know you haven't. But the money is going to add
It's
up.
costing me money that I don't really have to spend, so I don't want to be bitched out. I'm trying to help you,
Thank you very much.
and I don't want to be bitched out.
I will not do that again.
Okay, so
But I just let you know I'm going all crazy.
I know you are, and it's making me crazy that I can't do more to get out of there, but I'm trying to do the things I can.
I agree. You know, but actually, I think Sharp might be the fastest to get out of here, and he's already talked to the TA, supposedly. But there's a lot of old boy politics here, Sherry. This is Missouri County. It's the oldest county in Texas, okay? And they're kind of proud of that fact.
Now, one of the things that I asked Nick about is this Adams guy, is he empowered to bail you out without you having
No, I don't believe so. He's a court-appointed attorney. We cannot pay him at this point.
Okay, so my question would be, as a court-appointed attorney, is he obligated to attend a bail reduction hearing on your behalf?
If they want him to, he will. He is going to do whatever the courts want him to. He's a go boy. Please don't use him.
Here's the thing, Ed, if he can put in a hearing on Thursday for the bail reduction, that doesn't cost you anything. That means that...
Please pay for it. Please pay for it. Any of my services that have to do with court, please pay for them. Otherwise, I am going to get fucked. I guarantee you.
Please.
Yes.
I'm going to call this Monahan guy or whatever on Monday morning. I'm also going to call Sharp, but I also think I should call this Adams guy and find out if he's obligated by law because he's saying
Please,
to you.
I'm going to ask you one more time. Please let me know. I live here.
Okay, I'm just thinking about money you're going to need to pay for your criminal defense and for your divorce defense, and I'm trying to figure out how to save money.
Please get me out, and I'll take care of my money. I already can make money. That's what's killing me. The boys, that's basically selling on my shit at 5% of value. You know, and my tools, I have ways to make money with business. I have a lot of things I can do to make money.
Okay, well, anyway, so I'm going to call the other attorney you asked me to call, Monahan, first in the morning.
Okay.
And then after I speak with him, then if he can't do it better...
Well, what happened with court, please? What happened with court?
Well, all I know about court, I'm not there. I can't tell you. All I know about court is what I've been told. I was told that it was just a hearing for Holly restraining order. No.
Okay, did I get 2 years of restraint for my kids? That's what I'm asking. Gosh.
No, that she put a restraining order against you so you can't go near her. I don't know what the outcome of it was.
Well, if the paperwork said for 2 years away from my kids and from her.
And when you're out of court, you confess that.
I understand that. And also, I actually put a lot of requests on that thing to talk to the judge. It's the first judge I've had contact with, okay? Okay, anyway, actually, I'm almost thinking about, you see, the boys were supposed to go to Sharp on Thursday. Thursday morning, they were supposed
listen to me. I'm doing the same back and forth. I've got you in one ear, I've got one in the other ear. I'm in the middle, and I don't know what the fuck to do. So
Okay,
I'm trying
please
to do
listen
what
to
I
me.
asked you to do, and I'm going to do it. I was going
Thank you very much.
like I said on Monday,
You're actually, I think
call sharp, and I have already told the boys that one of them needs to plan to go and meet with the attorney on Monday and give the attorney the freaking money.
yeah, they're supposed to do that on Thursday. That's what drives me crazy with this thing. They're not listening to what I'm telling them to do. They have the money, and why doesn't somebody have the money doing something yet? You know, ask them that. Why doesn't somebody have the money?
Well, I kind of got on their case a little bit. I said, look,
They need to get money into their state.
this is dragging on far too long. I said, your dad needs to get out so that he's able to do things for himself.
Hell yeah, the boys are not doing it right, period.
If you guys, I understand you guys are stressed, I understand you got your own lives, I understand all that shit. I said that you are the only ones that can do these things for your dad, and you need to just fucking, you need to do it. And so Eric said, I've been doing everything I can. I'm trying to sell him stuff. I'm trying to get the best price I can. I'm trying to do all this stuff.
Okay, Sherri,
So I've missed work. I've missed school. He said, I'm just...
I'm glad they've even sold the fucking ring yet. You know? It's like, wow. The dream
So
I got.
I know that Eric has cleaned it up. Like, I'm going to talk to him the other day. I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm cleaning up this ring. I'm trying to find somebody to buy it.
I know, tell them $500. I don't care anymore, you know? I don't care no more. Just sell everything. Whatever, give me up.
Anyway, I told them that I'm going to call them Monday morning, and they better answer their phone.
Okay,
And I told them...
And I fucking, before noon, they better get that fucking goddamn money. Still money. Get the fucking out of here. Because they had that money for 10 days.
Hey, listen to me, please.
I'm cool. I'm cool.
When we start acting like that, you scare them and you scare me. So
They're not doing things.
I know they're not.
I've asked them 20
telling you.
times to do things, and they're, we'll do it. And then 2 weeks when I think that part's already been done of the puzzle.
And when I say
I
scare them, I don't mean like, when I say scare them, I don't mean like physically scare them. I just mean like scare them that all they're going to do is get bitched at.
No, they're going to fucking goddamn dad for an eye. Does that stand?
Anyway, I'm going to do what I can. I wish I could come to Texas. My boss will not with me this year.
Okay, that's fine. But please go get a phone card so it doesn't cost you a bunch of money on these things. Because it's already getting up to
listen, I can't put my card out there for them to just continue charging because I don't know what they're going to be charging. And once you give them their card, they just continue to charge it. And I can't do that.
Did you call the 1-800 number to find out?
Yes, I did.
Okay, you already called. Good. Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
I
sure.
did.
That's fine. I just didn't want you to incur a bunch of money. That's all. You know.
No.
I
It means you have to agree to have your card open, and they just keep charging it for whatever it's used, and I can't afford to do that.
It's not a problem, Sherri. I understand. And I'll try to only call you like once or twice a week. Okay.
Well, we have to really start managing money here, and I told the boys. So the attorney had a problem getting the thing out from South Carolina on the property. She said she's going to do it first thing Monday morning.
Oh, yeah, and that 2,000 or that money from that property, whatever comes to be after your expenses and stuff, please hold it until I get out, because I don't want the boys to have it. I want to have it directly. Because
Okay, I will.
Because I don't like the way they're managing my money at this time, you know. Anyway.
So basically, it'll be the $3,000 minus the cost of the attorney, which is $366.
Oh, really? Okay, so about $2,700. Excellent. I appreciate it.
So about 2,600.
Excellent. I appreciate it.
26 something.
I appreciate it.
And what I'm and I'm just so you know, I'm taking that out as a loan against the property. So, and that's really the limit of what I can do.
Not a problem. I appreciate you. That's fine. Excellent. I appreciate you very much. I'll just be cruising there. Tell them to come see me Monday, because Monday and Thursdays are days that they should come visit me.
Okay.
I only get 2 visits a week, and that way they can, I can talk about things that need to be done Thursday night, because I still have one more business day. The weekend.
And please, I know you don't like to take advice, but I'm asking you please to take some advice here.
Sure. What?
Just don't rip the boys' heads off when they come there.
Okay.
Talk to them, tell them how stressed you are, tell them how you're feeling, tell them all of that, but don't start yelling or curse, because it's not going to accomplish anything, and it's probably going to be counterproductive.
Yeah, you're actually.
And I want you to get out.
You have 1 minute remaining on your call.
You have 1 minute left.
Okay. I'm taking your advice. Hey, let's talk about this. We got 1 minute.
All right, all right. So anyway, I'm going to talk to the boys first thing in the morning. I told them they better take my call in the morning.
They must take that fucking money and give it to somebody tomorrow morning. Okay?
Well, they can't tomorrow. It has to be Monday morning.
Or Monday morning, yes. Okay? Because if they don't, I'm going to drop them. I'm going to drop them like a fucking brick.
Well, they're going to do it, and I'm going to call them now until they do, and I'm also going to call and talk to
Please.
Charlotte.
I mean-
I'm going to talk to Mine.
I've been in here for 3 weeks, longer than I should have been.
Yeah, Eddie, I understand your frustration, so I'm not saying.
Thank you very much,
not to be upset
and
and not to be freaking
you
out.
don't know how much I appreciate you working for me. You know that? Because you cannot get out of the Missouri County jail without somebody on the outside working for you. I guarantee it.
I understand that.
This is
I
good old
am
boy.
here and I am trying to do
This
that.
is good old.
At some time, did you come to learn that Eric Campbell had been arrested and was in jail in West Virginia?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do when you heard that?
I started to make arrangements to go to West Virginia.
And did you actually go to West Virginia?
Yes, I did.
And were you allowed to meet with Eric while you were there?
Yes, I was.
And what did Eric look like when you saw him?
He was pretty battered in his face and was emotionally all over the place.
And did you talk with him at all about what happened?
I did ask him some questions. I asked him if he was okay. I asked him what happened to his face. I think I may have asked him what happened or whatever, and then I started to think I shouldn't ask him that. I don't know what's going on. It was a very emotional meeting. I hadn't slept very well for a while. I had just landed, I think, the night before.
Relating to this incident, to what happened with the Faulkners, did he tell you anything about that?
He had said something about, I don't know if it was directly with that or not, but he had said something about his dad made him sit on the floor, but I don't know what floor or where, or if it was related to that, because he wasn't very coherent.
And what was his affect or his emotional state that you could tell from seeing and talking?
1 minute he would be sitting there just kind of still, and the next minute he would be shaking, and then he would cry. It took me a while to get him to look up at me because he was just kind of leaning forward, and I wanted to engage him, and I kept saying, just look up at one point. And then he seemed to be a little bit better, but then he would just sort of, I don't know, relapse again, I guess.
Now, after the charges in this case were started, where were you living at the time when you learned about them?
I was living in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Do you still live in Scottsdale, Arizona?
No, I don't.
Where do you live now?
I stay in a room at my aunt's house in South Carolina
And why'd you move there?
to be able to be closer to Eric through this.
And are you able to see Eric? Are you able to see Eric now and visit with him? Were you able to do that during the period of time before you trial?
I think for the first year and a half, I drove up from South Carolina every weekend, or try to drive up every weekend and see him.
And do you love Eric?
I love Eric very much, yes.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Witness mistake.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Barnes, with respect to your testimony today, you never reported any of this abuse to anyone before, is that correct?
Of which abuse?
The abuse that you allege that Ed perpetrated on Eric and his brother.
I never reported it to anyone, no.
And you had opportunities.
Of course, yes, I would have had opportunities, yes.
And as a matter of fact, you were contacted by the Texas Child Protective Services, right?
No, I was never contacted by Protective
Were you
Services.
not contacted with respect to the reunification effort in September of 2001?
No, I was not.
So, with respect to, did you live in Santa Barbara Avenue in Irvine, California?
Yes, I did.
Was your telephone number 949-387-9567?
I don't know, but a 949 would be that area, yes.
So you did not have any contact with the Child Protective Services worker with respect to the reunification between Eric and Nick and his father back in 2001?
I have no recollection of that, no.
Your Honor, I'm objecting to this line of questioning. I don't believe Ms. Barnes testified that she witnessed any acts of violence by Ms. Barnes' children. I don't believe that was part of her direct testimony. So I object to her being questioned as though she said otherwise.
Yes.
Your Honor, I think it is relevant to what she told Child Protective Services worker in 2001. We've mentioned a lot. I mean, the constant.
Text is up.
Ms. Barnes, I'm handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 644. You take a minute and look at it. And with respect, I draw your attention to the references and backgrounds and where it says TCT Sherri Barnes. If you take a moment and look at that, please.
I genuinely do not remember this interview, but if it's here, then it must have happened, but I genuinely do not remember it.
So,
And I'm not trying to evade anything here. I genuinely do not remember having this conversation.
so you're saying that you, with respect to this, you're saying that you did not have any conversation whatsoever with a Child Protective Services worker?
Objection is not what she testified to.
I'm saying that I don't.
Well, yes, ma'am. You can continue.
I'm saying that I don't recall this conversation.
So you don't recall telling them that you...
I'm happy to read it aloud.
Would you please?
Ms. Barnes was contacted by CPS with regards to the Campbell case. Ms. Barnes told CPS that she and her brother do not see each other too often because of the distance between them. However, she stated that they do talk on the phone about every 2 weeks or so. CPS asked Ms. Barnes if she is close to her brother. Ms. Barnes stated that she and her brother are fairly close and that she feels she knows her brother pretty well. CPS Ms. Barnes if she ever had any concern about Mr. Campbell and how he treats his children. Ms. Barnes told CPS that her brother loves his children and would never do anything to hurt them or allow anyone else to hurt them. CPS asked Ms. Barnes if she had ever known her brother to have a problem with drugs or alcohol. Ms. Barnes stated that her brother never had a problem with drugs or alcohol, not even as a teenager. CPS asked Ms. Barnes she thought her brother had a bad temper. Ms. Barnes stated that she is aware of Mr. Campbell being in trouble for supposedly hitting his ex-girlfriend and that she did not believe it was possible because her brother would not hit a woman. Ms. Barnes continued to state that Mr. Campbell was raised to respect women and that she could never imagine him hitting a woman or his children.
Now that you've had a chance to read that, does that refresh your recollection?
I am really sorry, but no, it doesn't. I don't remember this conversation.
Okay. Ms. Barnes, but nonetheless, you never, none of the boys ever reported any abuse to you?
No, they did not report any abuse to me until I think when Eric was in Canada with me, I had started to question him just because of things I had seen in my last couple of visits. Initially, he didn't want to talk about it, but he just said, listen, my dad is my dad. And he said he does things that, that would upset you. And I said, to you? To who? And he said, yeah. He said, but don't worry about it. He said, I didn't come up here to talk about that.
Okay. Well, while you were up there in Canada, he was participating with the other young men and young women that were there.
Yes, he was.
And he was helping to move this equipment around.
Yes, he was.
And set up these obstacles.
Yes, he was.
Moving logs and setting up these large climbing walls and such.
Yes, he was.
And that required him to be in good shape.
He wasn't in as good of shape when he first got there. He was in better shape by the end of the
So
time
by the
frame.
end of the summer, he was in very good physical shape, wasn't
I think he was in decent shape, yeah.
he? And
But he was injured when he left. He had an accident.
now, with respect to the letter you sent to the judge,
Yes,
it was your contention at that time that Holly had planned this whole thing.
yes. In terms of her interaction with my brother for what my brother was in jail for.
Okay. But you had not seen Holly at that point,
No.
and you were relying entirely upon Eric and Nick and Ed's assertions about that. Isn't that correct?
Eric and Nick didn't tell me what happened between their dad and Holly. My brother told me what had happened, and his attorney told me what he was able to tell me without violating anything.
You never had one conversation with Eric about what happened that night?
No, I asked them if they were there, and neither one of them said they were there.
And you never said one more thing about it?
To Nick and Eric?
Yes.
About what happened with Holly?
Yes.
Yes, I asked them, did they think their dad did that? Did they think he could do that kind of thing? And they were like, I don't know, I wasn't there, I didn't see what happened, I don't know.
And, but nonetheless, you felt that it was appropriate to send a letter to the judge,
Yes, I did.
concerned that she had planned all this in advance,
Yes, I did. That's what I thought.
and representing that Ed was the at-home caregiver for the children.
Yes.
And you gave a copy of that letter to Eric.
I did.
Did you ever report any of your concerns about Ed's mental health to the Missouri County Jail?
No, I did not.
Did you ever contact the judge that was over this case?
In terms of writing the letter?
Writing a letter to say that my brother's not well?
No, I did not. I don't believe I said that in the letter.
Because the primary concern was making sure that he was out so that he could be there for the civil case. Isn't that right?
The primary concern, yes. Part of that, well, let's see, there were a couple of primary concerns. One was he needed to be out by a timeline in order to be able to defend himself. I wanted him to have the right to defend himself, yes. He started to have statements or make statements about committing suicide or taking his life. I think at one point one of the kids had told me that he acted like he had a noose or something in his hand and was doing like this behind the glass to them. So yes, I wanted to get him out. I wanted him to get help.
So that he could do things for himself.
So that he could, yes, so he could start to, that was the biggest thing if you listen to the calls with him. He said, I could do all of this, I could take care of all of this, but I don't have access to anything. And I wanted him to be able to do two things, defend himself and get help.
Be right.
Knowing everything you know now, would you help bond out everything?
No, I would not have. No.
And if you know everything you did now, do you think you would have done some other things differently regarding contacting DSS or contacting?
Yes, I would have.
No further questions.
No further questions.
Thank you, ma'am. You may stand there. Further evidence for the defendant.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Your rebuttal evidence from that state.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. The state would call Dr. Nicole Wolf.
You solemnly swear the evidence you should give according to the truth and the truth and the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Will you please state your name for the court?
Nicole Wolf.
And where do you work and what is your position?
I'm a forensic psychiatrist at Central Regional Hospital in Butner, North Carolina.
How long have you been, with the state of North Carolina as a forensic psychiatrist?
I've been a forensic psychiatrist for the state of North Carolina for 22 years.
And have you always worked at Central Regional Hospital?
No, the forensic unit used to be at Dorothea Dix Hospital. When Dorothea Dix and John Umstead Hospitals merged, the forensic unit was moved to Butner.
Dr. Wolf, when did the hospital open in Butner, if you remember?
I believe the hospital opened in 2008, but the merger didn't actually occur until the end of 2010, and part of the forensic unit was still in Raleigh until 2012.
In working at Central Regional Hospital, did you know or have any dealings at all with Dora Faulkner?
I never heard of her.
Are you licensed to practice medicine in the state?
I am.
And when did you become licensed?
I received my medical license for North Carolina in 1990.
Tell a jury about your educational background.
Sure. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in biochemistry from Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. I attended medical school in Shreveport, Louisiana. completed the 4 years of medical school in 1990, and I did my psychiatry residency at Chapel Hill at University of North Carolina. The last year of that 4-year program, I was at the Federal Correctional Institution in Butner, North Carolina, completing my forensic psychiatry fellowship.
Do you have a board certification first in psychiatry? Do you have a board certification in psychiatry?
I do.
And how does one become board certified in psychiatry?
Well, you have to have the requisite training, so obviously you have to have the 4 years of psychiatry training. Then you have to take a series of exams, written exams and oral exams, to show competency in the field.
And do you remember when you became board certified in psychiatry?
I completed my psychiatry training in '94, so probably 1995.
And are you board certified in forensic psychiatry?
I am.
How does one become board certified in forensic psychiatry?
The forensic psychiatry also requires its requisite training, which is 1 year of specialized training. And that was the one I did in Butner at the federal prison. And also, that one does not require an oral exam. That was just a written test.
And when did you become board certified in forensic psychiatry?
That test was only given every 2 years, so probably 1997. You have to be board certified in general psychiatry first, and then you're eligible to sit for the forensic test, which was only given every other year.
Describe what a forensic psychiatrist does.
A forensic psychiatrist is a psychiatrist who specializes in how mental health aspects are overlap with any kind of legal issue. It can be a civil matter or it can be a criminal matter. Something like sexual harassment would be an example of a civil case, and this type of case, a mental state at the time of the offense, would be an example of a criminal matter.
And in order to perform a forensic psychiatric evaluation, describe what that entails.
Well, a large part of it is the regular psychiatric evaluation. So just like any psychiatric examination, if you were to go see a psychiatrist, they would take your history, want to know any type of past disturbances you might have had with your mood or thoughts, emotions, anything of any social significance, any difficulties in school, any past medication history. So just a general medical history. And forensic psychiatric history, there's usually, again, some legal aspect that's being questioned. So it depends on the question that you're answering.
And looking at that legal aspect, do you look at outside or collateral sources?
Yes. So the difference between a regular psychiatrist and a forensic psychiatrist is that for a regular psychiatrist, you're presenting to the doctor for a particular symptom. For the forensic psychiatrist, the person is presenting there because of a legal issue. You're not presenting there for treatment. So it's a very different aspect that you're looking at. So you might get some of the history in the same method, but the ultimate issue is very different.
And the people that you evaluate at Central Regional Hospital, how do you come to see them?
So Central Regional has the state's only pretrial unit, so it's a state-run service, and we serve all 100 counties for North Carolina, and everybody who comes there has a court order. So each county has their judge sign an order. A lot of these evaluations are for capacity to proceed, namely, is somebody capable of standing trial? Do they have a mental disorder that's affecting their ability to understand what's going on? And sometimes the cases involve the defendant's mental state at the time of the offense. Was there a mental health issue going on around the time of the offense, and if so, how did that impact it?
How many forensic psychiatric evaluations have you performed?
Over 2,000.
Have you testified before as an expert in the area of forensic psychiatry?
I have.
Approximately how many times?
About 300.
Your Honor, we would move to tender Dr. Wolf as an expert in forensic psychiatry.
Get Jack. Start to see.
Dr. Wolf, did you perform a forensic psychiatry exam on Eric Campbell?
I did.
And why did you do that?
Because I had an order from the court requesting an evaluation of his mental state at the time of the offense.
And when did you evaluate him?
I first evaluated Mr. Campbell on February 28th, 2017. I saw him again on March 3rd for 1 week on the inpatient unit that we have at Central Regional. And then I saw him again on May 3rd, 2017.
And how did you go about conducting the full exam?
The initial evaluation, again, was very typical of a general psychiatric evaluation, just asking the person a lot about their current symptoms. So how they're doing, how they're functioning currently, any symptoms, sleep disturbances, any symptoms of psychosis. A lot of our patients come in for that reason, such as hallucinations, any delusions, if they're oriented, things like that. So asking general psychiatric questions about how they're doing, and then the next part will be getting some history, typically starting where they were born and tell me about your childhood and going from there.
And then after you do this initial evaluation, what do you do next?
Well, Mr. Campbell's evaluation was regarding mental state at the time of the offense. So I had to go through all of this collateral information that was provided. So Mr. Campbell had a lot of medical records. He had investigative files. He had defense team interviews. There were, obviously his criminal investigative files, videos, photographic evidence, autopsy reports, things like that. So reviewing all of that records and then going through his history, comparing it through various other records that I've received, looking for any discrepancies or places where the information seems to jive.
And after you reviewed the information, did you go back and interview Mr. Campbell again?
I did.
And that was the second and third times that you interviewed him, is that correct?
I don't recall exactly at which time I read all of these reports. It was over 5,000 pages of discovery on a disc. So I don't recall if I had started 2 or 3 of his interviews when I finished reading this disc, but sometime during the course of his evaluation, I had finished reading it, and then I started asking him about some things.
And did you write a report as a part of your, I guess, the finishing product of your exam?
I did.
And in that, did you note, and certainly from your memory as well, did you note how Mr. Campbell appeared when he came before you the first time, or the times he came for his interview?
I did.
And what did you notice about the conversation that you had with him?
Well, what I noticed is that he was soft-spoken, but he was also very evasive. So the interview was more difficult than usual because of a lot of I don't know responses and just general evasiveness. Even simple questions about where did you graduate from high school, I got it, I don't know. And I was like, you're 24 years old, you graduated not that many years ago, you're trying to tell me you don't know the name of the high school you attended for 2 years. And then after that, he named his high school.
Is that the sort of responses that you got all through the interview?
It was definitely consistent with what I'm describing as evasive, yes.
Did you ask the defendant about any sleeping issues or how he was sleeping?
Definitely. That would have been a standard question for me to ask.
And did he say anything to you that was remarkable or anything that you noted about that?
Yeah, he said a few things about his sleep. So he said that, I believe he described his sleep as mediocre. He said he had difficulty falling asleep. He said he had some racing thoughts. When I tried to get some details on what he meant by the sleep difficulty. He said that, I lost my train of thought. He was easily awakened by noise, especially if someone called his name loudly. And he also spoke of sleeping better if he was beaten. So he told me that his sleep was pretty good after I'm beaten, which struck me as unusual.
Why did that strike you as unusual?
Well, he'd already spoken quite a bit about being abused, because that was the other thing that I had noticed just on the initial interview, was how many times he wanted to tell me how he had been abused. And he spoke about a guy on the block giving him a right hook on his right cheek bone a year earlier, and he said, I sleep better. But obviously, if somebody has a history of being battered, they're not going to sleep better if they're beaten. They're going to be hypervigilant and wondering if they're going to get beaten again. So again, it's just a little inconsistency and that I found suspicious.
You also noted that you did a Central Regional Hospital pretrial hospital course between March the 3rd of 2017 and March the 10th of 2017. Can you describe what that is?
Yes, we have an area of the hospital where pretrial evaluees can come in for an inpatient observation. So they'll be admitted very much like a regular patient. They'll have the 24-hour-a-day observation. They'll undergo a physical examination, laboratory studies. A lot of times people have medical illnesses that actually are they mask themselves as psychiatric disorders, so hypothyroidisms, low vitamin D. Some of those things can make people depressed, but it's actually not true depression. It's an endocrine problem or a hormone problem. So we check people for their blood work, and all of his blood work was well within normal limits. He is observed, like I said, while he's there. Any medicine that he came in on was continued. Mr. Campbell had been taking an antidepressant before coming. He'd been at Central Prison before arriving at the pretrial unit. That medicine was continued. He was superficially cooperative with the nursing staff in their entries, and again, these are separate assessments by the nurses. They described him as very vague, soft-spoken, and not forthcoming. So it was similar to what I had seen in my initial assessment, but at the same time coherent. There was no evidence of any type of thought disorder, or things like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, but consistently evasive. During that time, the patients are monitored for their sleep and appetite as well, and that was also noted to be unremarkable.
And there's psychological testing that's noted that was performed by Dr. Fox. Are you aware of those two scales or tests that were administered by Dr. Fox?
Yes.
And the first is the SIRS test?
Yes.
And are you aware of that?
I am.
And are you aware of Dr. Fox's findings in that, under that particular evaluation?
I am.
And what did she, well, tell us about the SIRS scale and what that measures, and what you found remarkable or not remarkable about that particular test.
The SIRS is a psychological instrument used for screening for malingering, and in this particular test measure, he did not endorse a lot of the atypical symptoms or unusual responses. So his were genuine responding, and all of his tests fell on the genuine responding scale.
What does that mean?
Again, he didn't endorse any of the either a very high number of symptoms or for the items in the test that are meant to draw out people that are attempting to fake psychotic symptoms. There's some questions in there with symptoms that are not normal for known mental disorders, so he didn't endorse any of those.
And what does that mean to you?
That on this particular test measure, he was not attempting to feign or exaggerate psychological problems.
And as you are evaluating him face-to-face and asking him questions and reviewing the answers against the information that you have, are you constantly evaluating him for malingering yourself?
Well, anybody conducting a forensic evaluation on somebody with big criminal charges should always consider malingering. That's just part of what we do. So it's always a consideration.
And why do you say that they should always consider malingering?
Malingering is an intentional production of symptoms for secondary gain. And so whenever somebody's facing a very lengthy criminal sentence, it's just something that is commonly seen, so it should be considered.
And the MMPI scale that was administered by Dr. Fox, what does that test show, or what does that scale screen?
That's a very lengthy questionnaire, and on that particular test measure, he endorsed that he was not experiencing symptoms of psychosis, including thought disorder, perceptual disturbances like hallucinations, or problems with reality testing. On the test measure, he endorsed some symptoms of anxiety and depression that he did not report during Dr. Fox's clinical interview. So during the clinical interview, he had denied anxiety and depression, but some of those he did endorse on the test. He also didn't endorse any items to suggest that he was having suicidal thoughts.
And what, if anything, does this test measure mean or say to you?
It wasn't particularly helpful. So it was, again, the fact that somebody might have some anxiety or depression that they didn't report in one setting and not in another, not a critical difference. Again, he has plenty of reasons to be anxious and depressed, so it's not very telling.
You indicated that the defendant gave you a past history, and you noted that. If you could tell some things that you took note of during this past history and it was explained to you.
Okay. Obviously, as you've already heard, he grew up in Texas. One of the big things that happened, obviously, was his mother had the aneurysm and became disabled when he was a toddler. So that, I thought, was a significant psychosocial stressor, because then that left his father to care for the rest of them. And then there was a series of different women in his life, and some of these women his father had assaulted at the end of the relationship. That they had lived in different locations in Texas throughout his childhood, and his father had worked as a nurse. And that eventually his father was no longer working as a nurse because he had lost his nursing license. Again, some of the, he spoke a lot about his father abusing him, making him feel bad, that he was very likely to cry as a child, that anything would make him upset and perhaps even vomit, and that he tended to feel like he was walking on eggshells all the time and was very quiet. He began taking Adderall in the 5th grade for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. He said his school, elementary and middle school, were largely unremarkable. And he said he had one fight in 7th grade. And then he said that his father taught him how to lie to the pediatrician so he could get a higher dose of Adderall. At the time, I didn't think anything of it, but later when I was reviewing the record, I noted that the medical record said that the father told the pediatrician, "I want him on the lowest dose of Adderall possible." So that was an inconsistency that was definitely not, that was noted in the medical record. His stepmother, Holly, came into the picture when he was around 12 years old, and he said that they married because she needed a green card so she wouldn't get deported to Canada, and that Holly had a baby, Alyssa, when he was around 13 while he was in junior high, and every other year she had 2 more children. Then he spoke of being homeschooled in the 9th grade. And I asked, obviously, why would you suddenly get homeschooled starting in 9th grade? And he said that his father had the idea that it would be good if he could graduate from school early and work on some other things. And so at first it seemed like a good idea, and then afterwards he said it turned into 2 years of babysitting. He went back to school in 11th grade and ended up graduating from this high school. He said he didn't have hobbies, didn't go to clubs or after-school activities because his father always wanted him working, and that he only had 2 friends in his life, his best friend Shane and his girlfriend Chloe, that he wasn't a very social person and usually was not allowed enough freedom to socialize.
And Dr. Wolf, did you note any inconsistencies in these statements? I draw your attention specifically that he said he wasn't, if I heard you, that you said that he wasn't allowed to date or do anything like that in high school.
Right. So in some of the reports, one of the things that he'd gotten in trouble for was being investigated for whether or not he had raped the girl in high school. Well, the event happened at school. It was later dropped, but he had actually been dating that girl for a year. So there was already a girlfriend of 1 year during that time, which was inconsistent with what he had told me. Because he started to date Holly when he was finishing his high school. I'm sorry, date Chloe.
And did you notice anything, after he attended high school, did he tell you that he had attended college?
Yes.
And what else did you know about his life after high school?
That he stayed at home for about a year after that, but had other jobs. So he went to the community college, he had other jobs, and then eventually he moved out. So around age 19, I believe, he was living outside the home for the next 3 years until his father was arrested and the house became vacant again.
And living outside the home, did he tell you who he spent the majority of his time with?
Yeah, so he was living during that time mostly with his friend Shane and seeing his girlfriend Chloe during that time.
And did he talk about any activities that they did together?
With Chloe, he described it as a typical dating relationship. It was a sexual relationship. They liked video games. They spent a lot of time at Chloe's house because the place that Shane's grandmother was not an air-conditioned place, so needless to say, in Texas it was going to be hot. So they spent a lot of time in air-conditioned places, largely Chloe's mother's home.
And in looking at his reports after college, did you notice anything of interest during this particular time?
Well, during, again, he's working. He doesn't seem to have any difficulty finding jobs. He has maintained a relationship with a girlfriend. He's maintained a roommate relationship. He's able to stay at Shane's grandmother's. He's responsible. He spoke periodically going back to his house. The other person he's obviously very close to is his brother. So he has various relationships, and from an outsider's perspective, that looked pretty normal. It's significant that it's normal functioning. And looking through reports from Chloe, his girlfriend of 3 years, and from Shane, who had known him for years and years, there was no description of any kind of mental health problem. So there's nobody's saying he's dissociating, no flashbacks, no hypervigilance. Nobody's describing him as being super jumpy or on edge or even irritable. His best friend, Shane, said that the only time he'd seen him depressed was for the 4 days after Chloe broke up with him. So this was in 2014, the summer after he came back from Canada, where he had been working on those Spartan races for 4 days. And that's when Shane is saying that was the only time he saw him depressed. Chloe also referred to that as she knew he'd been depressed during the time of their breakup, and she described it as he was not super depressed.
And did anybody mention anything about the defendant taking military tests?
Yes. They spoke of his taking the aptitude exam for the military and how well he had scored on it.
Was that remarkable to you?
Well, the high score on an aptitude test would be consistent with his above average intelligence, which wasn't remarkable to me because I had already noted that even though he hadn't gone to much schooling during his 9th and 10th grade, by all accounts, the school records and principal reports or assistant principal reports about his schooling while he was being homeschooled was questionable as to whether he'd actually done any work during that time. But in 11th grade he took chemistry, but in 12th grade he took advanced placement chemistry and passed that. So even though he really hadn't had much foundation for school, he obviously was above average intelligence to be able to pass those kind of classes.
Did you ask the defendant about his substance abuse, any substance abuse history that he had?
Yes, I did.
And what did he tell you?
The account of substance abuse he gave me was very inconsistent, and it seemed that every time I asked, I got a different answer. But overall, he reported alcohol use beginning at age 15 or so. Sometimes he said he started because he was drinking with his brother. Sometimes he said he was drinking with his father, and drank anything between beer, wine, tequila, rum. It just depended on the day that I seemed to ask.
Did you note anything else about that?
About the alcohol?
About substance abuse in general?
Yes. He said that he had first used street drugs for the first time at 17, and he said that was his father pushing methamphetamine on him over 100 times. He said that his father offered it to him and had him snort it in order for him to be more productive on their home projects. He also said that his father felt like there was more camaraderie if they were using together. And at a later time, he said that he had started using methamphetamine at age 18, and then he said he quit at age 19. So he said he quit using methamphetamine at age 19 and became very depressed, and his father's response to that was that he just needed more amphetamines. He said that he had started using marijuana at some uncertain time, perhaps while he was in college, and quit at age 20. I thought this was very relevant because there were several accounts by people who knew him during the years prior to his arrest, but particularly in 2014, who spoke of his using marijuana on a regular basis at home with his family.
And did you know that once the defendant moved out of his home, that he continued to visit there regularly?
Yes.
Did he talk about those visits?
Again, he was very vague in terms of what was going on. He'd frequently say he had to visit, or he'd try to avoid his father as much as possible. But it seemed, by reading all the collateral information, that one of the activities he was doing when he was going there was using drugs and playing video games.
Did he talk to you at all about using Adderall or being prescribed Adderall for his ADHD?
Yes, he said that he began taking Adderall in 5th grade, and in 8th grade his father started taking his Adderall.
And did he tell you anything about, or did you suspect him of using this Adderall?
He spoke to me about overdosing on his Adderall, and he said that he had something to the effect that he had almost burned a hole in his tongue from where the Adderall had sat, which again seemed inconsistent with a typical overdose. Most people swallow the pills and don't just let them sit there, and it again was an atypical report.
And did you notice anything in the record that you reviewed about any suicide attempt that had been reported?
No suicide attempt had been reported.
And was he asked specifically about whether he had attempted suicide at any time in his past?
There were several times that he was seeing the doctor who was prescribing the stimulant, and there would be a basic questionnaire about his how he's functioning, and there was nothing of note in there.
They asked him specifically if he had attempted suicide, and he answered no. Is that correct?
Yes, I just don't recall at this moment in which record.
Would it sound familiar that it was perhaps in his juvenile court or juvenile court counselor record that they had asked him that when he was 17 years old?
Yes.
Did you note any, I guess you took what is described as the defendant's abuse history, is that correct?
Yes.
And this was all self-reported, is that right?
Yes, this would be Mr. Campbell reporting these events to me.
And what did that part of the interview, or what did that look like?
I had him tell me about some events spontaneously, and then some of them was a questionnaire in terms of kind of a long questionnaire, and then if you endorse some items, then getting more details about that.
And after he gave you the questionnaire, what did you do?
Well, it was just, again, something else I considered in his history.
And what, if anything, did you note in his abuse history?
Well, one of the things he talked about was he said he ran away from home one time, and that was when he was 18, which struck me as a really unusual time to be running away from home, because when he was 18, he already had a car, and he was already driving himself to school. He was in school for his last 2 years, so he was away from home. He had a girlfriend. He actually had 2 girlfriends by that time. So his report seemed a little unusual, and he said he was living in the 2-story home and opened up his bedroom window, dropped some stuff, and then stayed with his brother for a couple of days. So that was his account of running away from home. He talked about his father not taking him for medical care after he was beaten. And again, I'd seen records of his having had medical care. I don't know for a fact that he had had additional injuries that were not cared for, but there was definitely evidence that he had been taken to the doctor for various issues. Eric talked about one of the times that he had been beaten the most was after he had accidentally burnt Holly's nose hairs. And I was like, how do you accidentally burn somebody's nose hairs? And he said he wanted to play a prank on her. And she was coming up toward the table, and he flicked the lighter right when she bent down. And that was what had led to one of his beatings. He said that he had just wanted to make her jump. He reported that his father frequently grabbed his stepmother Holly by the throat and tried to choke her. But then he added that, quote, she says he never laid a hand on her, end quote. So again, there was a question of what kind of abuse had occurred at the home. and he had some awareness of the allegations that had led to his father's arrest in September 2014 in terms of the degree of beating that Holly had had.
And when he talked to you about that originally, did you have some questions about whether or not that beating or that incident had actually even occurred?
Well, I did, because Mr. Campbell talked about, she was trying to make it good for herself, so when she left the home, she could get everything. And there are certainly plenty of women that do that. So I wanted to assess the degree of the incident that occurred. So I specifically requested that investigative file from your office, where I saw the pictures that were taken after this incident, as well as I listened to the 911 call.
And did you, after that, you obviously knew that the event had happened?
Yeah, I was struck by how much she had been beaten, and there was also something about the incident that was peculiar as well, which is that both brothers had separately come into the home during the time that she's undergoing this extensive beating, and they had both left.
Did you ask the defendant about his life and what was going on in the months prior to leaving Texas?
I did.
And what did he tell you in that about that subject that stood out to you?
The main thing that had occurred, again, he had come back from Canada that particular summer, and it was after that that his girlfriend and he broke up. Then in September, his father gets arrested. After that, he and his brother go visit his father at the jail. And during that time, his father is trying to get them to bond him out.
And did Eric take any ownership in that?
He frequently said that his brother bonded his father out. So he did not. He'd talk about selling the things, but not of actually bonding out his father.
Did he tell you about any job he was working?
Yes. Again, he had pretty consistent employment, and he spoke of working until he had gotten into a car accident, in which case he was working less.
Did he talk about the car accident to you at all?
He did. He's basically said that the car had been totaled, that he had T-boned into somebody.
And he was able to recall the details, or at least the details to you about that particular.
He had said that he was not knocked out unconscious, and that he had gone for some medical care, chiropractic or physical therapy after that.
What else did you note about the months leading up to them leaving Texas?
Well, the main event that occurred in the month prior to leaving Texas was that his father got out of jail. And so I was trying to assess his interactions with his father during this time, where they're going, what they were doing, and he was incredibly vague about who was where and when. So even asking about which car he was driving, he was vague about that. But at some point in time, he spoke of taking his father, knowing that his father was not going to court, and taking his father to a park in Texas in the Houston area and dropping him off, and talked about how his father, they did not know this, but his father had a cell phone, and that the area they had dropped him off was within 5 miles of a prison in Huntsville, and that park, authorities were able to track down his father, so his father had to avoid law enforcement in that park, and that despite them using drones and some other technology, they weren't able to find his father in this park. At some later time, he spoke of his father flashlighting them at a field, and when I asked, well, how did you know where to go and where you were supposed to meet, it was, again, responses with I don't know, a bunch of vague responses.
Did he tell you about a meeting they had with his dad on the field?
Yes. He talked about, again, any effort I usually made to get clarification ended up with a different version of events that was, again, confusing. But at some point, he said that while they're at this field, at this park, he didn't even stay consistent about which park he was in. And one time it was a park 30 minutes from the house, another time it was a park that was 2 hours away. He was very inconsistent in just general details. And but he spoke of he and his brother and his dad having margaritas and then dropping the dad off in the woods.
And the way in which the defendant was speaking to you, that was, you say, was confusing and inconsistent, and he was vague. Do you note that this is consistent with any symptoms that you were noticing, or what do you attribute these vague responses and confusing responses that the defendant was giving to you?
This is consistent with evasiveness. This is not consistent with post-traumatic stress disorder or dissociative disorder. This is somebody who is not wanting to give responses.
And once he told you that he and his dad had margaritas in the field, did he say if anybody else was with them at the time?
It was, according to him, his brother, and his father.
And after they met in the field near the park, what happened next? Or what did he talk about of note after that?
Well, that first time at the park, that was, I believe, what led to the 2 days in the park where his father ended up getting pursued in the park because of the cell phone that he had that had GPS technology on it. And again, when I would ask, how did you know where to meet him? How did you know where to pick him up? I just, again, got vague responses. Well, who got the phone call? Were you driving? Was your brother driving? I never got any consistency.
And again, is that consistent with someone who has post-traumatic stress disorder or someone who's being evasive?
I believe it is him being evasive, because if you're just driving somewhere, you should have a recall of where you were driving. It's not a stressful situation, and he made it sound like a very unstressful situation. It sounded like a social event that they're laughing and having margaritas.
And is there some times when people are undergoing a stressful situation and perhaps have post-traumatic stress disorder that they would have some sort of memory loss for the event?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there are no doubt that some people who have post-traumatic stress disorder have significant difficulties with their memory, especially under stressful circumstances.
But this is not what you believe that you were witnessing when you were just talking to him about him having margaritas in the field?
No.
Did he seem impressed that his father had been able to evade law enforcement?
Yes.
What else did he tell you, and did you notice about the several months leading up or after they left? His brother, and his dad left the field there in Texas.
Well, so again, this is there's a period of time where his father's in there, and then a period of time where his father is back at either his house or Eric's apartment. Nick's apartment. And again, there's just no indication of how the father gets transported to all these places. It's just a bunch of vagary. And there's also the list, the list of items that he packed in the car. There's never a clear answer as to what this list is for. At times he told me that it was a camping trip. At other times, when I questioned about some of the crossbow, he said it was to hunt deer. But the items that were packed in the car were not consistent with a camping trip or deer hunting.
Why do you say that?
Because there were some extremely unusual items in the car. And the items, he reported putting them in the car at the house on Indian Acres, and then meeting his father later, and then moving these items into that other vehicle that his father had stolen.
And did you ask him about the Suburban?
Yes, he told me that his father directed him to where this white Suburban was parked, and he said that he didn't really think about how his father would have had this car, and then he told me that he didn't know what a stolen car looked like.
Did this strike you as odd?
It struck me as ridiculous because he knew that his father had no money. There was extensive conversations about getting the money to bond him out. It was pretty clear that they had gone through all of their resources to try to get the bond money, and that there wasn't suddenly money for a very large vehicle.
Did you confront the defendant with this? I mean, did you ask him about that?
He told me he didn't know how his father had gotten it.
Were you, did you actually, when you talk about the packing list, did you actually look at what you're calling the packing list?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, if I can have just a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
My approach, and wish I missed mine.
It may be best to just break at this particular time.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our evening recess at this point. During our evening recess period, it is your duty not to talk among yourselves about this case. It's your duty not to talk to the parties, the witnesses, or the lawyers about anything at all. It's your further duty not to talk to anyone else, to allow anyone else to talk with you or to say anything in your presence about this case. If anyone communicates
County Superior Court at recess until 9:30 tomorrow morning. God save the state and all court. You may leave.